What's going on? Todd Talker Web is back. There's some rumors on Yahoo Sports that Alabama's number one target right now is Kevin Steele. I think I would rather have a lobotomy than have Kevin Steele. We do know, let's look into his past. We do know his past. He was at Bama co-defensive coordinator in '07. And there again, if we really wanted him, he would have stayed. We wouldn't have got young Kirby Smart. And we see what happened to Kirby Smart in that time. And we see what happened to Kevin Steele. He is an older gentleman. He's been a journeyman in the SEC. He's been at Clemson. He's been at Auburn. He had a few decent years at Auburn in 2016, 17, 18, and 19, and then the wheels fell off in 20. He was kind of in charge of a coup that kind of took place. Was trying to get rid of Gus Malzahn at the time at Auburn. He did a decent job at Auburn, and obviously they weren't out recruiting Bama at all during that time. So he did put together a decent defense. We do know he's used to running the 3-4 that Saban's known for. But this is if we were to hire him, honestly, it just feels like we're shooting ourselves in the foot. Like, we do know if Pruitt was available and we were able to get him, we've already done it. Like, it would already been done. There's some reason, and I'm not sure why. It could be the NCAA, the investigation is looming over his head that we haven't got him. I don't want the guy. I think he's a bad hire. To me, I feel like it's another rush to judgment. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel for a stopgap or defensive coordinator. I still feel like we're not. I mean, honestly, if this is the best we can do, and I've never questioned Saban's hires until now, but I feel like we're just like, well, we'll just take this guy. He's willing to take the job. And it's like there's guys at Division II and Division III that have proven track records that have been places 2, 3, 4, and 5 years. We could go get the one or the two of the top best guys and bring them in. I don't understand. Even the two best defensive coordinators in Division II or III, bring them in and have their contracts laden with performance bonuses. I just don't feel like getting a cast off and Kevin Steele is any good. Like, he's been at Bama a total of like 9 years, and I'm fine with him being like a linebackers coach, a defensive backs coach, a defensive ends coach. But having him be a DC, like, if he'd have been, I feel like, worth a damn, we'd have had him back in '07. I don't understand why we're getting him. I mean, he just presided over some of the worst Miami defenses ever. And that dumpster fire. And I hope he stays at Miami. I don't want him. And I'm wrong. If I'm wrong about Steele and I'm wrong about Reese, I will put their names on a piece of paper and I will eat it in a year from now. But I'm pretty confident I won't have to eat that piece of paper. I just feel like right now we've got, Sunnyvale Trailer Park Supervisor Jim Leahy letting the booze make the decision. That's what it feels like. And yes, I know I'm not at Bama. I know I'm not making the decisions. I know I'm not looking over everything. I don't know if Saban's wanting a yes guy or if he's just wanting somebody that he's worked with before that's just a comfort blanket. I don't know. I just feel like, okay, Steele made me feel like, or not Steele, but Reese made me feel like, okay, we want a young guy, an up-and-comer, somebody who's hungry. Okay, well, then why don't we do that at defensive coordinator? Like, there's plenty of Division II and Division III guys out there that I think are young and up-and-comers that could be amazing. But I feel like that's not even looked at. We're just going for an old tried and true that's not even that tried and that true. Like, he's been a decent position coach at Bama, but I have my doubts about him as a DC, man. I know he had a lot of attacking defenses at Auburn. I know he is a decent recruiter, and that's wonderful. I know he knows the SEC landscape. I just feel like, we're just at the bottom of the barrel, and he'll probably just say yes, so let's get him. And my biggest fear is that he's going to come in there and just be a dumpster fire. If he was worth a crap anywhere else, they'd have kept him more than a few years. I mean, Auburn, yeah, he stayed there a few years, but it's Auburn. Nobody's expecting championships out of Auburn. Nobody's expecting championships or even get to the SEC championship at Auburn. Nobody's expecting that. 8-5 is the best Auburn will ever do. Look at their history. They haven't had 2 10-win seasons back-to-back since the late 80s. So that tells you all you need to know. They're average 8-5. So if they can win 9 games a year and maybe beat Alabama every other year, every 2 years, they're okay with that. I'm not saying we have to go to the championship every single year, but damn, it's been a long time since we've had even a top 10 defense. You take out the cream puff games, that Pete Golding had every year, and we're not even top 20. You know, Pete Golden, or not Golden, but I think Pete Golden, you do that, and he doesn't have a top 20 defense. And you look at Kevin Steele, and what we're going to, I can tell you right now, what we're going to get out of Kevin Steele is a bottom 30 defense, subpar recruiting, because he probably doesn't want to recruit, he's older. And that's what we're going to get. You know, I pray we don't have a massive dumpster fire like he's trying to come out of Miami. But I don't think this guy is the savior for Bama defense. I just don't. I would have more confidence if we would get a young and up-and-coming guy. Because even like Reese, I can be like, okay, well, he's young. He beat Georgia a few times. He patterns offenses after what the quarterback can do and what the strengths are and getting the ball in the playmaker's hands. Okay, wonderful. We'll see how it goes. It's still a science experiment at best, but I can kind of come to terms with that. But you hire this guy and Kevin Steele, and I just think you're setting our Bama up for failure. I think that recruiting class you just brought in, well, great. If you want to be mediocre, go ahead and bring Kevin Steele in, and let's see how this dumpster fire turns out. And I was in the past. I was always on the fence about. I was never on the fence about guys like Sarkisian because I'd seen what they had done in college. Now, granted, he had never had a top 10 offense, but he had put together very imaginative offenses, and he'd won championships. He'd been on championship teams, and I know that. Excuse me, Kevin Steele has been on championship teams, but I don't think he can head the defense up. I mean, let's be really honest. If we could have found, when we found Pruitt and we found Golden, you don't think, if we really loved Kevin Steele, if we really loved him, don't you think we'd have hired him way before now, before he's bottom of the barrel, scraping the barnacles off the pier type candidate? Don't you think we'd have gotten him before Pruitt? Don't you think we'd have gotten him to be the head DC before Golden? None of that makes sense to me. And like I said, I will eat this piece of paper with their names on it if I'm wrong at the end of the season. But I'm 99.9% sure I won't be wrong. I think this is a horrible hire. I think we could do more diligence and find somebody else. I think this is an awful, awful pick. The only positive this guy's got is he's a decent recruiter, which we'll see how he is since he's older and may not want to recruit. He knows the SEC landscape and he knows the 3-4 defense, but besides that, the guy's not bringing me any warm and fuzzies at all. The guy's not bringing anything to the table in his record that I'm like, yes, this is going to be a good fit, or even and definitely not a home run hit. I'm not asking for a home run. I'm asking for just let's bunt a little bit and get on base. And this was like, well, let's punt on second down. Let's get up there and punt on second down, and we'll just see how this goes. I hope I'm wrong, but if we do hire this guy, this is so disappointing. I'm praying and hoping this guy turns this. I'm hoping Kevin Steele stays at Miami, that dumpster fire he's presided over. I hope he stays down there and does not come north to Tuscaloosa. But anyway, let's see how it goes, guys. Let's keep our heads up, and either way, roll Tide.